Alrighty, so I'm going to try to keep this pretty concise. So if you need, just go back and rewind and watch it again, watch step by step. I'm going to try to do it step by step so you guys can follow along, okay? So, but really quick before we get into the actual thing, I just kind of want to show you kind of how I like to do it, something like that. So that's what the palm actually looks like. And there's a lot of different covers you could do. I like doing this one. You just kind of give the deck a couple cuts, and you get the palm done in that before the cut, obviously. But it doesn't feel like you could really have palmed anything there, you know? It just feels like the only reason I grabbed the deck was to cut it. And that's the key, is that you need a motivation for your right hand to come to the deck. So you never want to come and do a palm like this and then bring your hand away. That doesn't make any sense. So you had no reason to touch the deck. Okay, so if you don't have a table or anything like that, another option would be to bring hand-to-hand transfer kind of thing as you're gesturing, you know, and then you can do it something like that. So again, you just bring it this hand, maybe gesture for a second, be talking, blah, blah, then you go, you know, to your pocket. If you don't have a table and you don't want to hand the deck out. Okay, but it's very, very important that there's a reason why you're bringing your right hand to the deck. And the reason is always that you're going to hold the deck in your right hand for a minute. All right, at least that's what I do. Like, it doesn't make sense to have both hands on the deck like this, right? But there's no reason for my hand to come over here. I mean, for a second you can, because if you're just going to go set it on the table, right? But that's kind of the idea behind the Berg Palm is, or any palm, really, any top palm. You want to have a good motivation for touching the deck. And one of the best ones is cutting the deck to the table, setting the deck on the table, handing it out to the spectator. Okay, those are the best ones. But if you're in a pinch and you know, don't have the option, you can do this hand-to-hand transfer it. And I like to kind of gesture, like, you know, talking and gesturing like this, and then it's done. So those, with that out of the way, let's talk about how to actually execute this thing. So step one, and this is one of the most important steps. It may not seem like it, but it is. And you guys have to please follow what I'm saying. Everything I'm going to teach you is very important. I'm not teaching anything here that's junk. Everything I'm going to show you is important. Otherwise, you're going to run into problems. So step one might not seem like a big deal, but you're going to make sure the deck is pitched up so that the top of the deck is kind of almost pointed at eye level. You don't want it pointed exactly eye level, because then you can flash at the bottom. But you don't ever want the deck pointed down like this. Reason being is because when you do the palm, your wrist bends like it. I call it the T-Rex wrist, or T-Rex arm. It does not look natural. It's a dead giveaway that you're doing something. So to force yourself into the proper posture, all you need to do is literally just aim the left hand up slightly like this. Now when I come to the palm, my wrist is aligned with my hand and arm. It looks very natural and comfortable. It doesn't look like unnatural like this. Okay, so that's a simple little trick, and it will basically force you into proper posture, right? Just keep in mind, you don't want to have it aimed directly at their eyes, slightly up, okay? Just slightly up. You just don't want to aim down like this, okay? I see a lot of people doing the palm like this when they start out, and it's not good. All right, so step one, boop. Step two, thumb will come and contact the back of the deck. You want to jam it against the back of the deck, okay? And it's anchors here. You can also put it in the palm, the meat of your palm here. You just want to make sure that it's anchored down low, because if your thumb's up like this, it's a dead giveaway that you have something in your hand. Okay, this is not natural. All right, thumb down is natural, thumb up, unnatural. So anchor the thumb. I do it right here on the bottom edge of the deck, just right here. Okay, that's step one. Step two is you're going to close your fingers together so there's no windows, and you're going to bring the hand down, covering the card, but you want to make sure your pinky is aligned right here at the top right edge. So step one, boop. Step two, boop. Step three, boop. So that pinky is aligned right there at the corner of that card right there, just like that. All right, the other fingers are going to extend over slightly. That's good. You want them slightly extended because you're going to curl the fingers to grab the deck at the end. All right, but for now, this is just get into this pose. So go from boom, boom. And after a while, you'll be able to do it all at once. See how I'm doing it in one action? I'm not going boom, boom. I'm trying to do it in one action, so they happen together. Okay, but still the thumb should always hit first. Thumb always contacts first, but it should basically feel like one action. All right, so now that I'm in this posture, in this pose here, I've contacted the pinky to the top right corner of the card, and the other fingers are laying flat next to it. So you don't want your hand up like this. Again, this is so important not to come in at an angle like this. Okay, that looks weird. So the fingers lay flat. So thumb here. See how I curl my thumb? As I come in, I curl my thumb back like this. Okay, because you can't see my, like that's not like in the foreground or in focus at all. But I do curl my thumb slightly so that I can lay my fingers flat on the top card. Okay, they're flat, excuse me. Now from here, all you're going to do is push forwards and into the thumb. So make sure your thumb starts right here. So you're in just default mechanics grip with the thumb at the top left edge. So as I begin pushing forwards with my pinky and the rest of my hand, the card pivots automatically. And not only does it pivot, it also pitches up. Okay, so if I expose what's happening here, is what it looks like. Okay, keep in mind, this is not how you're actually doing it, but this is what's happening underneath. You're pushing forwards and pivoting off of the thumb, and it will cause the card to pitch and pivot. And it automatically goes into the palm, which is why it is a really good, easy beginner palm, because half of the work is done for you. Okay, so this is what it looks like underneath. I'm pushing forwards, it begins pivoting until it gets into the palm position. When it's in palm position, I begin curling this whole hand, and I move it over and curl it and grab the edge of the deck. You can also use the fingers on the deckhand to push this card up into a secure palm if it wasn't secure enough yet. You end in this pose. Okay? And then after a while, as you practice, you'll be able to curl in your index like this, and it gives the impression that there's nothing in your hand. You don't have to do that at first though. For now, you don't need to do that. By the way, I forgot to mention this. You can get a pinky break before you do this palm, because you are going to run into issues later on as you're practicing this. You're going to run into issues if you're getting more than one card. So to get rid of that problem, just get a pinky break first. You can get a pinky break however you want, but once you have the pinky break, the palm is like super buttery easy. Okay, it's quicker, it's more clean. Okay, you don't have to worry about getting multiple cards. So definitely do a break first. You can do a pinky count, just like pinky count one card, or you can, I always just do a backbreaker get ready or the classic get ready like this. Do that first, and then when you actually do the palm, it's like extremely easy. All right, so that's just a little side note. But anyway, where were we here? So thumb and pinky aligned to where they need to be. So as long as your thumb and pinky are aligned, everything else falls into place, right? So these two things are the most important. Okay, and these fingers just close up the windows. You begin pivoting into the, pushing into the thumb and forwards until it's about where it needs to be. Now you can use the fingers on the bottom to push the card up firmly as you re-grasp the deck onto the corner into a biddle grip. All right, so you never want to end the palm like this. That doesn't make any sense. That looks so weird. So also, you're transferring the deck into your right hand too, so it only makes sense to hold on to the deck like this, right? It looks awkward over here. So yeah, just get used to doing that. Once you get it into the palm, okay, I'm using the fingers on the edge to push it up as I curl my fingers and grab the corner of the deck. So hopefully that's making sense. So you are literally shifting your whole hand over like this and grabbing the edge. Right, so that's important. Shifting over and grabbing the deck. That's the end pose. So this is the end pose. And from here you can do whatever motivation you want. So you can cut the deck once, and I'm still in palm here, right? And I'm just going to replace the next packet. And that's a nice little motivated action. They'll never see the palm ever. It's really well covered, right? So you can also just do the hand, oh my gosh, so sloppy right now. You can also just transfer the deck into the right hand momentarily as you gesture and talk, and then bring it back if you want as this one goes down. Not as ideal, but if you don't have a table and you don't want to hand the deck out, that is an option. All right. And then you can also just simply set the deck down on the table. This is like the easiest thing to do. You just, boom. Okay, it's they're never going to see the palm because they're not expecting anything. They're not looking for anything. And the only thing that they're seeing is something that's just kind of in the peripheral. You're just setting the deck down. Okay, there's nothing for them to see there, and that's the whole point. That's how you make the palm deceptive. Has nothing, okay, it does have something to do with technique, but it's the most important thing is that you have a reason to touch the deck. So you have no reason, it doesn't matter how good your palm is, okay? They will catch you. And we're not going to get into theory or anything today. We're just talking about the technique. Well, a little bit of theory, I guess, but that's basically the Berg Palm. And this is originally was in the book Card Control by Arthur Buckley. The move is actually made by Joe Berg, and it has a lot of different, variations and stuff that you can do. You can do multiple cards with this as well. I'm not going to teach that today, but this palm was originally made to palm multiple cards from a packet. That's why Joe Berg came up with it. And it's basically been co-opted into usage as a single card from the whole deck. It still works though. And like I said, it's kind of like an automatic thing, so it's really nice and it's pretty easy to learn compared to other palms. So I'm trying to think of anything I'm forgetting here. We talked about keeping the fingers flat, right? We talked about jamming the thumb. We talked about curling the fingers and grabbing the edge. We talked about curling in the index for that psychological effect. It doesn't feel like I could be palming anything because of this curled index. I don't know why this works, but it does. And then I think that's most of the important stuff. And then while you're beginning, always get a break under one card. As you learn this move, just get a break, all right? Because now it's super easy with a break, all right? But eventually you'll be able to do it without any kind of a break, and that's what that's the beauty of the Berg Palm. So you don't need a break. So practice both. And if you're getting multiple cards, just make sure, like, do what I said, keep your hand flat. All right, so boom, see how the thumb kind of comes in curled? The reason I do that is so that I can lay my fingers flat. All right. You could also have the thumb aligned like this, and then see, you could do it like this too and do the Berg Palm, but then you have to like angle the deck down, and now your wrist is kind of bent, and that looks weird. So I don't recommend that. I just think it looks a lot better to keep your wrist relatively aligned. That's just my personal preference. Another little tip is keep your right hand shoulder slightly pointed at the audience, because from over here, it's the angles aren't very good. You can see the card and everything, so you get a lot better cover with the right hand side. So if I palm it over here, it's completely covered. I could be completely turned all the way to my right over here, and as long as you do what I said about keeping the deck pitched upwards, they won't see it. Now if I do the same thing for it pitched down, you might see a little flicker of that card pivoting out, and you don't want that. Okay? So a lot of people think that they have to cover the whole card like this in order to cover the pivot action. That's not true. You just need to do what I'm saying, making sure that you have the angle correct. And now you get the angle correct, you won't see that card pivoting. Okay, it's just covered by your fingers and by the angle, right? So that is basically the Berg Palm. I hope I went over everything, but that's most of the important stuff. And I think we'll leave it there at that. So if you have any questions, I do appreciate getting like videos. So if you guys are working on it, having problems, if you can send me a video, it'll be a huge help. I can probably help you troubleshoot it right away, because be able to actually see what's happening and what's causing you issues, right? But if one thing you can keep on your mind while learning this is not to bend the wrist in an awkward way. The right hand should always be looking relaxed. Like this wrist and hand and arm should be relatively aligned. You don't want to be rigid. You don't want to look rigid, like tense, but you also don't want to look like this, So just keep that in mind, and you shouldn't have too many problems. Cool. Let me know how it goes for you guys.